The New York Post. Chicago hospital teams with schools to promote trans-friendly adult toys to kids. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am the Anti-Woke Warrior. I have to give a shout out to Smile, or as you might know him, Smile Tut, for referring this article to me. This is a crazy thing that's happening in the land of Chicago, because we are all familiar with this little story, right?
Meet Joe Bruno, Dean of Students at the prestigious Francis W. Parker Private School in Chicago, which happens to charge $40,000 per student. Parents might be stunned to learn that Bruno's version of love and acceptance means handing out sex toys to underage students.
Then we had a drag queen come in, pass out cookies and brownies and do photos.
That's so amazing.
This is the drag queen that came in.
What's her name?
Alexis Bevels.
Alexis Bevels.
And just hung out in my classroom.
And was there?
Or hung out in my office.
I featured it on one of my recent videos. And if you're not aware of this, it's worth looking into Chicago private school dean exposed by Project Veritas. And watching Project Veritas's undercover video, because it is shocking. Now, thank you all for stopping by. I do appreciate everybody supporting me and what I do here on this channel. Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure that you're still subscribed. You can find me over on Rumble and on Twitter. Check out my merchandise store if you want to get a t-shirt, a mug, something fun. Christmas is around the corner. Let's get into this article and see what it has to say. Now, I might not have to be able to read this article because it might say some pretty racy stuff, or too racy for YouTube. Chicago's largest children's hospital has partnered with local school districts to promote radical gender theory, kink, BDSM, and trans-friendly adult toys for children. Now, they don't use the word adult, they use the S word. If you're not looking at the screen, you know, the three-letter word. But I'm trying to keep this family-friendly as possible. There's a reason why I call them adult toys and why they should only be used by adults. Insider documents I've obtained reveal this troubling collaboration between gender activists at Lurie Children's Hospital of Chicago and school administrators throughout the Chicago area. These documents and a review of school district websites show Lurie Children's Hospital has provided materials to school leaders promoting radical gender theory, trans activism, and adult explicit materials in at least 4 Chicago area public school systems, District 75, 120, 181, and 204. Homeschool your children. And hey, if you're living in Chicago, get out. Get out now. You have to leave the city. I mean, this is insanity. Per a whistleblower, these documents were circulated to administrators, teachers, and other staff at the middle school and high school level as part of ongoing employee training programs. No.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Yeah, we don't need to teach kids about this in school. They should be learning about a career, you know, the basics of what it takes to work. The primary training document, Beyond Binary Gender in Schools, follows the basic narrative of academic queer theory. White Western society has created an oppressive gender binary, falsely dividing the world into the categories of man and woman that has resulted in transphobia, cissexism, and systemic discrimination against racial and S minorities. Are you kidding me? Yeah, none of this is true. I'm sorry that you think it's true, but we've created gender binary, which we see throughout the animal kingdom. We even see it in plants. Yeah, it's just made up by Western society. Okay. Versions of the document were attributed to Jennifer Leininger, I'm going to go with. Lurie's Community Programs and Initiatives Associate Director, and Hadis Safi, a non-binary gender activist who uses they, them pronouns. No, you use it pronouns. There's 3 options: he, she, or it, stupid. And works for the hospital's LGBTQ and gender inclusion program, which advertises its care for children with gender-expansive identities and offers gender-affirming medical procedures, including puberty blockers for children. Just what we need. A little boy wandering up to the teacher and going, you know what, I think I feel like a girl, and then automatically on puberty blockers. Even though there's no psychologist involved, there's no medical personnel involved other than the people who are going to give you the puberty blockers, maybe. The presentation encourages teachers and administrators to support gender diversity in their districts, automatically affirm students who announce S transitions, and communicate a non-binary understanding of gender in the classroom. The objective, one version of the presentation suggests, is to disrupt the entrenched gender norms in Western society. Are you kidding me? This is outrageous. This country is gone. We don't even have this. This is happening in public schools at a junior high and high school level. Junior high school can include 6th grade. That's like 11 years old. You're looking at the oldest students being exposed to this information as 18 years old. Between 11 and 18-year-olds are learning this stuff. I learned sex ed when I was actually 12, right? No, I was 11. That's when I had sex ed. And I thought it was like a big deal. I was like, oh, wow, this is a crazy new world that I'm being exposed to. It was like a big deal to me at the time. I was in special classes for reading. As you can tell, I'm not a great reader, if you haven't figured that out yet. And I went to my reading instructor, and I was like, oh, wow, we're learning this new stuff. And she's like, is it sex ed? I'm like, no, it's like this, that, and the other thing. She's like, yeah, that's sex ed. I was like, oh, that's crazy. It's so good. I want all this stuff. But it wasn't anything challenging the gender binary. It wasn't any descriptions of how to go into using these objects or being with somebody of the same gender. In at least 2 districts, Lurie Children's Hospital activists also advise teachers to offer a series of explicit resources to children as young as 11. See, told you 11. At the end of the Beyond Binary presentation circulated to teachers in District 75 and 120, the hospital recommended a binder exchange program to assist teenage girls in binding their chest. 11-year-olds are being taught how to do this. Just what they need. A kid-friendly website for gender-affirming gear, which sells items. A kid-friendly website for gender-affirming gear. Yeah, just what we need. Which sells items such as artificial wiener packers and female-to-male trans mask pumps, and an LGBTQ-friendly shop for teens. And I don't mean, that's not just an LGBTQ-friendly shop. If you're not looking at the screen, there's another word before shop. I'm sure you know what it is. It sells a range of fake wieners, harnesses, things that shake really fast. Toys for your Uranus, that planet. Trans-friendly toys and kink and BDSM equipment. Leave the country if you have children. Go to somewhere with traditional values, because this is outrageous. The links include graphic descriptions of sadomasochism, bondage, prawn, and transgressive S. I don't know what that is. I assume it's with the trans person. I don't know. Besides these materials, the Gender Theory Lurie Children's Hospital has also released a policy guide for school administrators encouraging districts to adopt a gender-affirming approach to the curriculum, provide gender-affirming children's books in school libraries, and allow students to compete in athletic events, use restroom and locker rooms, and sleep in bunks during overnight school trips in accordance with their gender identity rather than their biological arrangement. I could tell you what, if I was in high school, if I was in junior high school, and we went on some overnight school trip, and this was my option, I would have been identifying as a girl. For obvious reasons. The hospital also advocates school districts designate gender support coordinators to help facilitate children's S and gender transitions, which under the recommended confidentiality policy can be kept secret from parents. District staff shall not disclose a student's transgender identity, the policy reads, before contacting the parents, guardians of a student who is transgender or gender non-conforming. District staff should ask the student what name and pronouns they would like school officials to use in communications with their parents. Bullcrap. Do not change pronouns. There's absolutely no reason to change the pronouns. Beyond the lurid nature of some of the content, these documents reveal a profoundly disturbing collusion between radical gender activists in the medical system and the public school bureaucracy. They have laundered the promotion of queer theory, synthetic S identities, and child S toys, which should be adult toys, under the guise of health and education, devoting significant resources toward building that policy. Analyst Lior Sapir has called a school-to-clinic pipeline. The process is simple. Children learn about and adopt gender expansive identities in schools, which then direct them to gender clinics that can provide puberty blockers, hormone therapies, surgeries, and drug regimens that often add up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. The cynical interpretation of this pipeline would suggest it's driven by a profit motive. It is. It is driven by the profit motive. It is 100% driven by the profit motive. But another current is ideological. Radical gender activists believe they are in a struggle for liberation from a system of cis heteropatriarchy. Yeah. And each gender non-conforming child is another tool in that fight. Okay. It is primarily the profit motive that is what the driving factor behind. Why else would a hospital be involved in this? They want the money. They want the children to come to them and get transition therapy. Ridiculous. Is outrageous. And it needs to stop. I mean, you're targeting children who don't know any better. You know, there's an interesting thing that people might question, like, you don't have any proof that your point of view is correct, anti-woke warrior. You just kind of say this stuff because you have this like traditional mindset that homosexuality and transism are just made up things in the person's mind. But, you know, it's really interesting how percentage-wise, fewer black people identify as homosexual than people of other races. What a weird coincidence. We're not that genetically different, so why would that be the case? Could it be a social thing? In fact, it's been explained to me that way by so-called experts in this industry, in this field, that black people do not identify as homosexual because it is more socially stigmatized amongst black people than amongst other races. And I don't have the numbers on those percentages, but that's what was explained to me by somebody who does look at the numbers and it does have that information. This was years ago, so maybe things have changed now because we're more open about accepting people with this problem. So, yeah, it seems to me that maybe that's evidence that I'm right. I don't know. I mean, of course, you could always argue the other case. It's like, well, people used to be burned to death for expressing this lifestyle. Don't you think that would be a big deterrent? But you know what? Christians were also burned to death for expressing their lifestyle. So, you know, I don't know what to tell you. It's like people want to believe what they want to believe, and they'll die for it. So, and the point is that this hospital and these schools in Chicago seem to agree with me that you can teach somebody how to be gay or trans. I mean, why else would they be doing this unless they thought that they could get people to be on their side? This dean at this school in Chicago seems to me like he wants to have more people to choose from to support his lifestyle, to play with. We'll say play with. Anyway, that was a disturbing one. Thanks, Smile. I know you're having technical. If you haven't checked out Smile, he's having technical difficulties. Last time he talked to me, he said, "Yeah, I can't get together. It's just like kind of crazy where I'm living right now, so I can't quite get my gear up and running. Hopefully, he's back on his feet soon, and he can start making more original content. And I hope this does not ruin your day. If you're in Chicago, I mean, fight against this, challenge it at every opportunity that you have, and just get out of the city if you can. Just abandon Chicago. That would be crazy if Chicago became a ghost town. That'd be weird. And I will see you in the next video.